Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Tuesday. It's September 3rd. It is 2024. We have a 10-game MLB slate to talk about here on today's podcast, joined by my good buddy, Will Priester, ChiefJustice06. Chief, what's happening, my friend?
Nothing much, brother. Glad to come on with you. We just got a chance to hang out a little bit over the weekend, so that was good. And now we are back in the saddle for the morning grind. So should be a good time. I know I had a good time at the track, and wild finish to the race, to say the least. And it was good to catch it live. So I had a ton of fun, and hopefully we bring that energy to the pod today.
Yeah, I mean, I'll bring that energy to the pod tomorrow. It was a travel day for me after a long weekend. I am gassed. Listen, I am excited because it's NFL week, right? Like NFL week 1 is here. Like, so I'm pumped. I don't want to sit here and like say that I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like I'm very pumped that it is that time of the year, and I'm very pumped that like baseball's rolling. NASCAR playoffs start this weekend. It's just a great time of the year for sports fans. So my Gators played terrible on Saturday. I watched the game while I was watching the Xfinity race in the media center, and the Gators looked awful. So that was disappointing, but I'm still a Gator. Got a rep still. Losing games does not make me not a fan, and I am very proud about that kind of stuff. So yeah, very excited to be back. I will here in a minute make a morning grind game. Let's give out some premium when it comes to NFL week, right? Let's do a 3-day pass for premium to the winner of the morning grind contest. I'll post the link here in a minute after I make the contest when we get going. And you and Luch filled in for me yesterday. I appreciate that, Luch and TJ. Hope everyone enjoyed the show. Food for thought, week 1. It's up. It's on the website. You can go right there to the videos page and get the Food for Thought week 1 right there. It's live. It's ready to go. I'm sure you're excited to have that back.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going a little different time this year. So we're going 3:00 in the afternoon on a Monday, and we're live, Stevie, along with the pod feed. So we had a fair amount of people in the house today watching at the 3:00 show. I mean, I think people were just excited about football and, having some football to talk about. And we definitely talked about a lot of it. And hopefully people got something out of it. We get to show our fandom a little bit and also talk about the analytics side. So hopefully it's a good combination of, where the analytics meets the real life, talking about it as if you were talking to a cousin or a friend or an uncle. And, we just try to give you an elevated version of that. So hop on in. We're definitely ready to roll.
Are you a Falcons fan?
Of course not.
Who do you like? I can't remember who your football team is right now.
Oh, the Panthers.
Oh yeah, that's right. That makes sense. No. I in my head was thinking Braves, but yeah, I remember that now. Like we've had many conversations about this. I just was having a brain fart, so
it's all good. Dude.
Yeah, I don't know how excited you are about the season for the Panthers this year, but
I'm actually very excited. Very excited. I am hoping that competent coaching gets us where we need to be. So, Stevie, we don't need to go far. Like, I want to see 8 wins. That I'm not looking for. I want to see 8 wins. We see 8 wins. I'll say, okay, like we're trending back up. Like that's what I want to see. 8 wins. That's almost at 500.
Well, I mean, not that like Bryce Young is a bust, right? He's going into his second season. I still think he's undersized overall, but Dave Canales, the new head coach, right?
Yes.
Or is he the offensive coordinator? He's doing both, right? He's the head coach and calling plays.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, look what he did for Baker Mayfield last year. I mean, listen, Baker Mayfield is not a guy that you expected to throw 4,000 yards last year. So, yeah, I mean, if I was in your situation as a Panthers fan, I would hope they win one game this year and build off the draft next year, and then really make their positive marks next year. But I'm all about losing to be better in the years following. But I mean, not everybody's that way. So
I've already gone through that, Stevie. I've gone through 3 to 4 seasons of the losing. We drafted the quarterback. We drafted some wide receivers. We've done that. Like let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm excited about Deontay Johnson. We saw last year Thielen could do well in this offense, and I think Canales is going to do well with Bryce. So I think Deontay Johnson's someone that I targeted a lot in best balls. But anyway, enough football talk. I haven't announced it yet. It's not public yet, and I'm not going to announce it right now. But the NFL Morning Grind will record on Wednesday nights. I'll tell you that. And it's going to be a banger show this year. That's all I'm going to say. The announcement, I don't know if it happens tomorrow or when it happens. It's a banger show. The NFL podcast is going to be must listen / watch every week. That's all I'm going to say. That is all the teaser you're going to get for NFL Morning Grind. Wednesday nights, 10 o'clock. Yeah, and we'll be breaking down the main slate each week like we have done for many, many years. But I am, dude, you know who it is because you and I talked about it this weekend.
I do.
I am very, very excited about my co-host this year for NFL. So, that's all. That's it. That's all you guys get. That's all you get. Let's talk some baseball. We got 10 games. We're back in the baseball streets today. I don't know if you did DFS on Monday, but I didn't. I was traveling and way too much going on to do it. So I'm back in the MLB streets. So it's not Dean. I will say that, Derek. Listen, I put up with Dean every once in a while. It's not Dean. Let's do some baseball. We got Philadelphia at Toronto. 8.5 total in this game. Pick'em game. Tyler Phillips, Chris Bassett pitching against each other here. Let's go Tyler Phillips first. Any interest here in Phillips against Toronto?
No.
Straight to the no. We're back, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Toronto is a tough team for any pitcher. He had that one really, really strong game against Cleveland. And excuse me, off the top of my head, I think if I remember correctly, he had like a really insane BABIP that game, and he just ran really good. Cleveland just hit the ball to people that entire game. So, but that was like his one game, but really just kind of seen what Tyler Phillips is going to be here recently, more tape on him, and not for me, not against Toronto, probably not against many teams after struggling against Miami last time out. Chris Bassett, I mean, he's a guy that can produce in matchups. Really solid last time out against Boston. Any interest here at Bassett going up against Philly?
Oh, man, I want to not play Bassett today on a 10-game slate, Stevie. I think, one of my issues is you look over the landscape of the cheap guys, like who in the world do you want to play? There's one. And he's a little bit cheaper, and I think I prefer to play him. I don't think I'm playing Bassett today, and that's just me. I think Philly is better than Bassett, even though they struggled a little bit. Bassett sits on the shelf, but he's cheap enough to play. I just don't want to do it.
If Philly rolls out the lineup with 3 lefties, I guess it'd be 4 lefties. They have Marsh. I always forget about Marsh. I was going to say, if they only have 3 lefties in this lineup, I mean, I could potentially be talked onto it. Like Bassett, when Bassett really struggles is against left-handed power bats. And I mean, Harper Schwarber is the two that you're just really worried about anyway. And the fact that like Bassett really struggles with lefties is kind of the downfall to potentially playing him here. If the lineup comes out very right-handed and you get 6 righties, I might be persuaded to play a little Bassett in a 20-inch max, or if I'm not playing 150 but MME as well. It would be a lineup only kind of situation for me. We have some really good pitchers and really good spots that you could pay up for on the slate. But at the end of the day, you can't pay up for everybody. And like the cheap pitching on the slate is rough. Like Will was saying. So yeah, I mean, there's 1 or 2 guys down here that you can roll the dice on. And I think Bassett depending on the lineup, could potentially be one of those guys. With all of that said, let's talk about these Philly bats. An incredible spot for Schwarber and Harper. Again, just said it. Like when Bassett struggles, it's left-handed power. Two of the better lefties in baseball. Top of the list as far as like chasing home runs here for these two lefties for Philadelphia.
Yeah, and what's really good about this spot, Stevie, is we get both of these guys under 6K. Now, Schwarber's not a guy that's typically going to be over 6K most of the season, but Harper will, in fact, be over 6K from time to time, and we're getting him, like I said, at 5,400 here. So I think this is a good spot. You mentioned Marsh. He's 3,500. So he's another one of these lefty bats that you could get in there if you so choose. You've got Bryson Stott at 3,800, Stevie. So this is a pretty cheap team, I think, for this spot against Bassett. And so I think Philly's in the conversation for me today because of the pricing.
Yeah, I mean, again, like if they do roll out the 4 or 5 lefty lineup that they roll out, Marsh, Stott, Harper, Schwarber would be all very much in play for me here today. Other side of this game, I think Toronto, I hate it. I hate stacking this team. I really do. But I mean, Phillips just really struggling to right-handed hitters. Right-handed power has been something that he has really struggled with, and we know there's a lot of right-handed power in this lineup. Varsho's banged up, which could potentially lead to another righty in this lineup. So Vlad, Springer, very high up on my list in this matchup. I like Toronto a lot today.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you get a little bit of cheap catcher alert too, Steve, with Alejandro Kirk. Now, I'm not saying he's been spectacular, but most of the guys in this lineup now, Stevie, are 4K or below outside of Springer and Vlad. And that's really, to me, kind of how I feel about Phillies, the same way I feel about Toronto. There's just very intriguing pricing on pretty much this whole team. And I know Wagner, he's 3K. I know he's a lefty, but he's 3K. Clement is 3,700. This team, they're just all so cheap, and or not all, but outside of Springer and Vlad, a lot of cheap pieces here. Vlad 5,600. So I think this is a spot where hopefully they don't let us down and make Tyler Phillips look like the second coming of Randy Johnson.
It's happened before. All right, we got Boston at New York facing the Mets, 8 total. Mets a 135 favorite. Cutter Crawford, David Peterson facing off against each other. Any interest here in Cutter Crawford?
Oh boy, Stevie, these young pitchers from Boston have just been such a mixed bag down the stretch. I think it's a tough spot for Cutter Crawford again. Now, he's in Citi Field, which is a benefit for him. But, man, I just think as he's gone down the stretch, he's just not been as good as what he was early in the season. I don't think I'm going to play him, Stevie. You mentioned it. I mentioned it. The cheaper stuff in pitching today is just not good. And so I don't even want to reach. I think I'm going to fade him. I've got a cheap guy that I'm going to take a shot with, but I prefer to not take it with Cutter Crawford here against the Mets, even in Citi Field.
He just hasn't been missing bats. 16.7% strikeout rate over the last 30 days, and this is a very low strikeout offense just in general. I mean, DJ Stewart potentially in the lineup. He strikes out a little bit more. Marte, for Cutter Crawford to have a upside game, not even a ceiling game, for an upside game from Cutter Crawford today, he's going to need a BABIP game. Are we really going to bet on BABIP? I'm not. I'm going to chase strikeouts. I'll play a pitcher in a tougher matchup that might be more boomer bust than Cutter Crawford. I mean, you want 8 to 12 points? Cutter Crawford probably gets you 8 to 12 points. I mean, 8 to 12 points doesn't do you anything in tournaments. It probably doesn't do you anything in cash games either. So I'm just out. I don't even necessarily love the Mets in this spot. We'll talk about them when we get back to the bats, but Cutter Crawford isn't missing bats. And against a team that doesn't strike out, I just don't see any upside for him in this matchup. Peterson on the other side of this game, slight interest. I mean, I definitely prefer a lefty facing the Red Sox more than a righty. So I could see Peterson having a good game. They're not going to be able to get all these lefties out of the lineup. That's going to open up some strikeouts here for Peterson. And Tyler O'Neill is like your biggest threat, but he also has one of the biggest strikeouts rates as far as the bats against left-handed pitching this year. So the ballpark definitely plays into the favor of Peterson. He has strikeout upside at 8K. I'd rather pay up for him than Crawford and take the strikeout matchup here. And again, I definitely prefer a left-handed pitcher against the Red Sox than a right-handed. So I don't mind getting some Peterson today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't hate it either. I think you bring up a really good point here. Peterson over the last 30 days, Steven, hasn't been spectacular, but he's been death to lefties. 37.1% over the last month. And then, Stevie, you kick it into the season, he's at 29%. Now, so I'm just trying to do that in terms of comparing to say he's been good against lefties. He probably still sees Duran. He probably still sees Devers, Casas, Yoshida. But Yoshida's the one guy you have to worry about. But, Steve, if he were to see the exact lineup from, or the lineup that they typically roll out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 7 bats at 23% or higher in terms of K rates. And out of those bats, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those are lefties. And that's where he's made his bread and butter in the strikeout department. Stevie, Peterson at 8K. I'm not saying that I like it. I'm saying if anybody out of this, weird group in this 8K, this weird 8K group or upper 7K group is going to get there, it sure feels like him.
Yeah, and we should mention that this isn't the strongest pitching slate in the mid tier today.
Right.
I mean, we're gonna talk about Skeens and Sale. Wow. I mean, both of them. Wow. Like the matchups they have today. So if I'm playing cheaper pitchers, I gotta do strikeout ceiling pitchers, and I think that this is a spot where Peterson actually has some ceiling. So he's a guy who can easily put up 10 too. So but you're trying to chase it, right? You're just chasing the overall ceiling.
Yeah.
Let's talk about bats. I mean, not really in love with anything here from Boston. Like I said, Tyler O'Neill would be the one guy that I'd have a lot of interest in here. Just taking the home run upside and hoping that Peterson doesn't strike him out. But I mean, outside of Tyler O'Neill, this team is not great against lefties, and that's one of the reasons that I have interest in Peterson.
Yeah, for sure. And Steve, this didn't just happen. It's been this way all year. We've kind of streamed reasonable to good lefties against him, and it's paid off for us. So no need to stop today with Peterson at 8K. Won't be playing anyone from Boston. Not for me.
Yeah, I should mention that Rami Gonzalez is really cheap on DraftKings. If you want a cheap second baseman, he probably hits middle of the lineup, and he's actually been really solid against lefties this year. He was a pickup, I think, from the White Sox, I think is where he came from. I don't know. But he's been good against lefties this year, so maybe him. But, yeah, not loving it. As far as the Mets bats, I mean, again, I don't necessarily love Cutter Crawford in this spot, but I don't know if I want to stack the Mets either. It's 10-game slate. I think we're going to have some upside spots in general. I think I'm going to pass on the Mets bats, even though I don't like Crawford.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe some mini stacks would be as far out as I go. I'd be hard-pressed to not, continue to play Lindor with the way he's been playing, Stevie. He's been on a monster tear here. I feel like he has as many double-digit games as single-digit games over the past, 15 or 20 or so. He's just been really good. So, he's a guy that I don't mind getting in there. I mean, Nemo's been fine. McNeil's still cheap. Vientos is 4,500. I think it's mini stacked. Once again, I don't plan on full stacking it, but I think mini stacks are still in play.
All right, moving on. Colorado at Atlanta. 7.5 total. Atlanta, a 395 favorite. It's very rare we see a favorite this huge. It's huge. Kyle Freeland, Chris Sale. Any interest here in Kyle Freeland?
No.
I'm with you. No interest whatsoever. Chris Sale, I mean, it is very, very rare to see almost a 400 favorite in a baseball game nowadays. Sale has been just fantastic. I know he struggled a little bit recently as far as strikeouts, but I mean, listen, he's by far the best pitcher on the slate when you consider matchup and everything. Like, if you could fit him or Skeens, if you could fit both of them, I mean, they're the guys you want to play on this slate. I mean, you don't necessarily think twice. These two guys both could put up 35 plus, and you could get potentially 70 plus fantasy points from your pitchers today because of the matchups they're in. So, love Sale. What bad do you say against Sale outside of the fact that like he might have pretty high ownership on this slate?
Well, and he should have high ownership on this slate.
He should.
I mean, in fact, his I think he's worth the cost of admission today. Even if it's between him and Skeens, I think I still take Sale today for what it's worth. Like I think his matchup is the better of the two. I'm going to leave it at that, Stevie. I think you eat the chalk here. I don't think you try to get overly cute. I think he crushes today, period.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is one of the spots I'm just playing him and not thinking twice about it. And I love paying down a pitcher. Sale is just, this is too good of a spot today. Derek in chat says, let's go Bangaliers double dong for a bink. Heck yeah. I was thinking about it. I think I need a minor league Oakland hat to like represent my Lawrence Butler Bangaliers Roker love. So I'm gonna have to look into finding a cool minor league baseball Oakland hat.
Well, you better send it to my house so you don't get in trouble with your wife, and then I can ship to you as a gift.
No, I mean, should be all right. Let's talk about bats. Anything on the Rockies?
No.
Yeah, I'm out. What are we doing with the Braves here against Freeland?
Oh man, got to take some shots here. And look, I know Freeland has had his games this year, so I don't want to. Freeland could absolutely get 15 fantasy points in this spot, but I feel like the Braves are the right side of this game, Stevie. And so, when you're asking me, do I play Marcell Ozuna at 5,400? The answer is yes. If you're asking me, do I play Soler at 45? Well, the answer is definitely yes. Like, do I play d'Arnaud? Yes. And so I just think there's so many guys. Whit Merrifield probably leads off today. If I had to guess, Stevie, he's 3,700. The stack is cheap. They've got enough power. RC is 3K. I think there are too many value pieces in this spot against Freeland with them being at home to not take advantage of it. I think the Braves are a top stack here.
Yeah, I like the Braves a lot. Whit Merrifield should hit leadoff in this spot. Soler, Ozuna, d'Arnaud, Olsen, lefty. Olsen's actually had a lot of power against lefties. I like Atlanta a lot. This is a spot I think you target Atlanta. Pittsburgh at Chicago, taking on the Cubs. When I did my research for this game, it was not Hendricks.
No, it's Hendricks. Steele isn't pitching.
No, yeah, I know. I was super excited about Steele versus Skeens. I thought that was going to be a really good matchup in Wrigley.
Yeah, it would have been, but he's still hurt.
There's no way. I'm quickly pulling up the Hard Rock app. There's no way that Chicago is still favored in this game, right? Like, they've had to pull this line down. It's not still up, is it?
If it is, you better go take it now.
Yeah, I mean, I can get Pittsburgh right now at plus 100 in this game.
I'd probably take that.
Yeah, I just did. I mean,
with Hendricks on the mound, geez.
I get why Steele would be favored over Skeens.
No, absolutely, sure. Absolutely, yeah.
But I don't get the favorite. Like, I think it'd be more of a pick'em game. I think minus 108, minus 110, both sides type of line with Hendricks. So yeah, I bet that. Hey, listen, live betting on the podcast. That's what we do sometimes now. All right. Let's talk Skeens first. Yeah. 6.5 total. I'm guessing we have some weather blowing in. Let's see. September 3rd, Wrigley. Yeah, I mean, a little bit across field, about 11 miles an hour. Night before, we'll see what Roth has in the morning. What are we doing with Skeens today?
Yeah, once again, I do want to make myself perfectly clear. If I'm siding between Skeens and Sale, I'm paying the extra $1K and I'm going up to Sale, Stevie. So I want to make that clear. If I'm spending up on one, it's Sale for me. But that's not to alleviate Skeens. Like, this is still a good spot. I know he's seen his team back to back, but Skeens has the strikeout stuff to get in there with the best of them. The only reason why Skeens probably didn't hit that next level of fantasy points, Stevie, he went 5 innings and 82 pitches, had 6 Ks. And what happened, Stevie, was they were up like 10-3 and they pulled him because they're trying to limit his innings like as they get down to the end of the season. So that's pretty much what happened. And so if this game is tight, I think he gets a few more. But I
don't think he gets more than 85 pitches for the rest of the year, for what it's worth. I think he is on a strict pitch count innings limit. So, I mean, that's why I agree with you when you were talking about Sale. Like, Skeens is going to be – they're going to be very careful with his pitches and his innings down the stretch here for good reason, right? Like, yeah. I mean, this is a guy that's going to be around for a very long time. Pittsburgh's out of the playoff race, I'm pretty sure. I don't think they have a chance to even make the playoffs at this point. So,
Stevie.
What?
Guess what? What if I told you Paul Skeens goes to another team in like 2 or 3 seasons?
It wouldn't shock me. Not at all.
Pittsburgh has a blueprint. They've done it with pretty much all their good pitchers the last, 4 or 5 years. They sent them all out. Tyon.
I know.
Glass
I'm missing
Glass
now. That was the one I was originally thinking about.
I'm shocked they didn't send Keller out the door. They did it with Garrett Cole. They did, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand how they do this. I mean, they've got Jarrett Jones, who was pretty good earlier this year. They've got Skeens. Brubaker, I'm not sure where Brubaker is. I think he might have got sent out also. But either way, it's crazy how they've done this. And they keep finding more gems. I don't get it.
Yeah, this guy is just, I mean, he's on another level. So they're going to be very careful. And I just looked. I don't think they have a chance to make the wild card, if I'm reading this right. They're really far behind. So again, yeah, I mean, I would assume 6 innings or 85 pitches, I think, is what Skeens will see most of the year here down the stretch. With that in mind, like, I think he's still very playable today with the pitching slate that we have. I do think his upside is more limited in this spot than it typically would be. But he has a 32% K rate. This team strikes out at a 22% clip. Like, there's a lot of big strikeouts in this lineup too. So fire him up. And I'm still in on this bet. It doesn't really change my mind. I think that when you have Paul Skeens versus Kyle Hendricks, you just kind of take advantage of like Kyle Hendricks. So
I mean, Pittsburgh
at plus money, like
2 innings.
I think we wake up tomorrow morning and Pittsburgh's favored in this game. Like, I think that even money. I mean, I think it's a plus EV bet, so I bet it. We're not playing Kyle Hendricks, right?
Of course not. Like,
even at 6,200 against Pittsburgh, I just don't see a way to play Kyle Hendricks. I mean, he legitimately has a 15% K rate on the season, and there's just no upside to playing him. Wind potentially blowing in worries me a little bit for the bats, but I think you could still take shots here. Pittsburgh, as a stack overall, isn't that expensive.
Yeah, for sure. It's just I'm probably going to want to play Brian Reynolds, and everybody just start praying now if you believe in prayer, because whenever I take Brian Reynolds in these type of spots, I mean, he just gets no production. And, when I don't play him, he's lighting the world on fire. But Brian Reynolds would be a good one. Obviously, O'Neal Cruz. Like, this would be a spot for 2 of their bigger bats. I still don't know if I get to stacking Pittsburgh, Stevie, but I don't mind some of their big bats here. Yasmani Grandal is 3K. Like I feel like I feel like he's gotten more expensive as the season's going on because he's gotten more productive. Stevie, like, earlier this season, we weren't getting anything from him, and now he's kind of become an on-base machine. So at 3K, I don't hate Grandal, who's also going to bat for the left side of the plate, where Hendricks has had some struggles against lefty Stevies for the past 3 to 4 seasons now. As he's gotten older, lefties have really hammered him. And so I don't mind, throwing Yasmani Grandal in the cheap catcher area for us today at 3K.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely prefer a 3-man for Pittsburgh today more than a full stack, but my 3-man would be Grandal, Reynolds, Cruz, and love that. I love that you could play Cruz in the outfield now, not just at shortstop. So shortstop's such a loaded position in general. So if you do want to pay up for a Lindor or a Seager, I guess Seager's lefty today, but I mean, maybe this is the day you pay up for Cruz at shortstop. So I'm just saying it offers a little bit of lineup flexibility, being able to move Cruz to the outfield. Any interest here in the Cubs?
Negative.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get Skeens for 5 or 6 innings, just what's the point? I'm not playing the Cubs bats today.
Yeah.
Cleveland at Kansas City, 8.5 total. Cleveland a 122 favorite. We got Bybee and Singer facing off against each other. Any interest here in Bybee?
Oh man, I don't think so, Stevie. I feel like even though it's the 10-game slate, I'm not thrilled about the pitching. I know that Bybee could get there, but he's seen Kansas City in back-to-back starts, and I know Vinny P's not in the lineup. I get it, but Bybee's not Paul Skeens. Bybee is not Sale. Bybee is not Tyler Glass. Like, he's not one of those guys. He's good, but he's not those guys. And so I'm afraid that his strikeouts could fall off a little bit in this game. I know he got 6 in the last matchup with them. I assume he gets 5 or less here. Maybe he gets 6, but I still think he gives up some runs. 8,200. I just drop down and play Peterson. Or, there's another cheaper pitcher that I like and what I feel like is a better spot. So I'm not going to get to Bybee today.
Yeah, I mean, I like his strikeout potential, but I hate the matchup. This is a team that, even with Pasquantino out of the lineup, still strikeout rates under 20%, closer to 18% against right-handed pitching this season. And I think you nailed it when you said they just faced him. I mean, back-to-back starts against the same team that just hammered you. They just hammered you, Vinny P and I think, was it Massey hit home runs against him? So yeah, I mean, overall, not gonna take shots on Bybee today. It goes back to I'd rather take, I think, shots on Peterson.
Yeah. And
then Brady Singer, I mean, you love the fact that Brady Singer is just gonna go out and throw 100 pitches. But you hate the matchup, Cleveland, a team that doesn't strike out. I will say, though, Will, with some injuries and some stuff that's been going on with this Cleveland lineup, there's a lot more strikeouts in the bottom half of this lineup right now where, if you can kind of just get around, Quan, Ramirez, Naylor, there's a lot of strikeouts.
Him and that's pretty low still. Also.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at that today, or the previous slate. I think Cleveland was playing oh man, who were they facing? I can't remember who were they facing, but
on Sunday.
No, the Monday slate.
They played. These teams played each other, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about who the pitcher was. They were.
Oh, it was Waka.
Yeah, Waka. And Waka had a pretty good game against him the last start, Stevie. But one of the things I leaned into was he's facing them back to back, and even though the bottom of that order had more strikeouts, I think the top 5 are still crazy low K rate guys, and they ended up giving them some problems later in the game. So I feel like I'm going to see something similar here with Singer, and I'm probably going to not play him.
I mean, not a spoiler alert, but there's a pitcher in this range that I like more than him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's one guy that's in this range that we're going to talk about.
We're all going to play him.
Yeah, that I like a lot today. And I'm not a huge fan of his, but I like today. So, yeah. Bats, any interest in the Cleveland Bats here against Singer?
I've got some, but once again, I don't want to stack them full, Stevie. Cleveland is another 3 to 4 man stack for me. I'm fine with Ramirez. I've probably had more Josh Naylor home run calls than anybody this season, but Stevie, it's worked out so much for me. You catch him in the right. It's just I've been able to nail him in the right games, and I think this is another one of those spots. So Naylor at 4,600. You do have Quan at 48. I get it, but Jimenez is still pretty cheap for them. Like he's not overly expensive, Stevie. So he's 3,700. I'm perfectly fine with some 3 to 4 mans here.
Yeah, I mean, a mini stack is, I think, the most I'd get to here against Singer. I think Singer's still like a good enough pitcher that I don't want a full stack against him. I don't think Singer is going to go out and get blown up in this game. If I remember, he's only allowed multiple home runs 3 times this year. So not a guy that I typically stack against, but I could see like a little mini stack against him with like the heart of this lineup. Kansas City bats. Bibee, man, they just teed up on this guy. I think Bibee's a good pitcher. Don't get me wrong. Bibee really struggles with lefties. So obviously, if you want to pay up for Witt, no one's going to tell you not to do that. Melendez, Massey, I think are very much in play. One of the reasons that like Bibee would potentially make a little sense is because this team's going to be right-handed heavy. But gosh, they just faced this guy. So I definitely don't mind Kansas City in this spot.
Yeah, for sure. I get it. I'm with you in terms of him he's probably not going to see as many lefties as usual. But look, man, I just feel like they just have professional hitting on this team. They went and scraped up Tommy Pham again, Steve. Tommy Pham just had the career of a lifetime just this season alone. And he's a professional hitter. He's a professional baseball player. Sal Powell still going to get the job done. Bobby Witt still going to get it done. You talked about Massey. They've got Garcia. They've got DeYoung. And, I know a lot of these guys are righties, but, I just think just seeing them, they should be able to get it done here. And so I don't think we go all out. I don't know if I get the 5-man. I feel like Kansas City's probably a mini or a 4-man also. But I still think they get to Bibee some.
All right. Moving on. St. Louis at Milwaukee. 8.5 total. Milwaukee a 148 favorite. Steven Matz, Aaron Savali. Any interest here in Steven Matz?
No.
I'm with you. No interest whatsoever for me. Savali on the other side. Any interest in him?
No.
Yeah. I think I don't want to quick know him. He's actually been pitching really well recently, and I think the potential change of scenery is nice for him. And like he's done it against like Cleveland, and he had a good game against them. I at 6,300 actually have a little of interest in him, because like St. Louis has off days, and like there's no statistic that makes sense for it. They just have days. Yeah, they just have days where they don't show up, and like they have a ton of talent in this lineup overall. It's just they have days where they don't show up. And like those are the type of days. If we look at like Savali's numbers since like coming over to Milwaukee, he's really not been that bad. This is really not that bad of like stuff. So at 6,300, we want to pay up for sale. No doubt on this slate. With that in mind, I think Savali, like, in a 28 year max today, I might just lock sale and like build SP2s. And if I do that, Savali will definitely be in my player pool for a 20 year max today. So, do I love him? No. Has he been pitching a lot better? Yeah. Change of scenery is nice sometimes. New catcher, new pitching coach. You look at his numbers, and they've been really, really solid. And he actually showed some strikeout upside against San Francisco last time out. So Cardinals bats, anything here for St. Louis?
Yeah, I think I want to stack St. Louis today, Stevie. I feel like St. Louis is kind of becoming my late season alternate stack team just because of the affordable pricing. So when you're getting Burleson at 4,300 and Nootbaar at 3,400, Arenado's 4K, Wynn is 4,300, Donovan's 3,600, Goldie's 42. Pages, if he catches, he's 3K. I just think this team has been cheap enough to where they've been like a secondary 3 to 4 man, and that's why I've played them so much down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate them in this spot. They're not my favorite team. Like I said, I like Savali a little bit more than I think most will today. Yeah. If I was going to play the Cardinals, it'd be a stack. Like it'd be a full 5-man stack. It'd be a full-on stack. One of my favorite offenses today is the Milwaukee Brewers. I absolutely love the Brewers today. Obviously, you start with a guy like Gary Sanchez, who should crack the lineup today. Rhys Hoskins, Joey Ortiz. Brewer Hickman just got called up from Nashville on Sunday. He should start here. He's $2K minimum salary outfield, going back to wanting to play Chris Sale today. I mean, just another guy that should be in the lineup. It's that, that time of the year where we get these guys that get called up and get opportunity. And I mean, he's getting opportunity and he should be in the lineup here. So, I was looking and I was doing some research on him and I couldn't find much. I have to dig into him a little bit more, but I mean, he plays for the Brewers and his name's Brewer. Come on. It's just meant to be.
Yeah. I tell you what else would have been nice, Steve, if the Twins were on this slate. We could have just taken our two favorite teams and put them together and won all the money. I digress. But yeah, of course I love Milwaukee today. There's no reason to not play them against Steven Matz. I mean, look, man, they went off the day before, the slate before. I think they scored at least 10 runs. No, it might have been 9 runs. I think it was 9. But, Churio, I think, hit, or one of the rookies, I think it was Churio. He hit another grand slam on the previous slate. I mean, these guys, man, no Christian Yelich, and they're still finding ways, Stevie, to have just massively productive games. Adames at 4,700. He's been productive. We talk about Contreras. He's been productive. Gary Sanchez in the right situations has been productive, especially if he gets a lefty. Oh, wait a minute, Stevie, he's getting a lefty today. Gary Sanchez at 3,500, probably one of the most interesting power bats on the slate. Perfectly fine with Rhys Hoskins at 3,600, even though he's batting lower in the order. Those cheap pieces allow you to get creative. Terrain, 4,700. I know it's lefty. I wonder if he's going to lead off today. He's been leading off the whole time, most of the time, I think. Or has it been Churio? Either way, I just think, all in all, Steve, this is just a quality team. If I had to pick 2 guys, it's probably Adames and it's probably Gary Sanchez for me, if I only could choose 2.
Willie Adames is scorching, by the way.
Yeah,
when I was looking at research earlier, that dude is. Woo, and Yeezy in chat, we've loved the Brewers all year long, Stevie. Listen, it's not going to stop now. Will was with me at the track. I had my Nashville Hot Brewers Nashville Sounds hat on at the track this weekend. So
left my 5 home runs in 5 games straight.
Yeah, just scorching. I mean, and I just did some research on Brewer Hickman. Came over from Kansas City and Philadelphia, AAA prospect. 21 home runs, 42 stolen bases in AAA at Milwaukee this year. So again, Milwaukee gets another guy that has some pop and can run. They're just kind of building this around. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to play the Brewers today. Just get ready for it. I mean, it's coming. So, yeah, man. Moving on. I got excited about that game. Milwaukee stacks, man. They get me excited. We got Yankees at Texas Rangers, 9 total. Yankees a 135 favorite. Rodon against Heaney. Any interest here in Carlos Rodon?
I have sneaky interest in Rodon, Stevie, because their best hitter has been one of their higher strikeout hitters against lefties this season, and that's Corey Seager. And they're in Texas, not in Yankee Stadium. I have not been the biggest Carlos Rodon fan, Stevie. I feel like he's been a fraud most of the year, but this team hasn't been as good as lefties. I think his ceiling is in this game is probably 25 fantasy points. I think he probably actually settles in around 20, and I think I'd accept that on this slate at 8,500.
I don't know what to do with him here. There's a lot of strikeouts in this lineup, and again, what we talked about a lot in like what we've been talking about the whole podcast is chasing ceiling. You're chasing the ceiling, I think, in this spot in large field tournaments. Not a cash game play by any means, but I mean, who plays cash games anymore? Come on. This is a great breakdown show, I feel, and I'm biased. I'm the host. But man, yeah, we definitely are geared way more towards tournaments, and like we're for baseball, we're definitely just geared up breaking the spots down. But I think you could chase the ceiling here. I think there's ceiling in this matchup. There's downside. This is a guy that can get wild. He can struggle with right-handed power. They're going to throw a lot of righties at him. They might not be the best righties, but they're going to throw a lot of righties at him today. So yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I think that he's worth a shot in large field tournaments when you're chasing the ceiling. I can tell you I'm not playing Andrew Heaney on the other side of this game. Yeah, and Heaney is someone that I feel like I've played a lot down the stretch. He's 6K. You could do worse. I don't think you could do better. I mean, I think you could do better. I'm not playing him today. I would much rather play Savali for $300 more.
I agree. I will agree with that, Stevie. I don't think I'm going to get to Savali, but I agree with that stance. Definitely not playing Heaney.
Bats. Yankees bats.
Man.
Yes, please. Sign me up.
Yeah, love the Yankees here. Judge back under 7K. Stevie, what do you know? We're saying Judge is under 7K, where he was 7,200. Somebody else that's starting to heat up here, Stevie, is Giancarlo Stanton. Believe it or not, he's starting to heat up. So he's now 5K. I think it's a little bit expensive for him, but I fully understand that this is a guy that could send one over the fence. You got Gleyber Torres at 4K, who's been really productive down the stretch as well. So no problem with getting him in your lineup. Anthony Rizzo seems to be back. I don't want to play Rizzo right now. But generally speaking, Stevie, this team, it's just a good team, man. And anytime you can get, any of these guys in terms of a major stack, I think you do it. If I had to decide between Judge and Soto today, believe it or not, I don't mind Soto today because I do think Heaney's probably going to walk one of these guys. And you said, you're taking walks. Well, yeah, I might today. Because if we can get to some Texas bullpen, Stevie, Soto's got a chance to really run this thing up. So I love Judge, love Soto, love Stanton. I'm just fine with this team. I think it's a good balance between the upper price bats and the cheap guys.
Yeah, I mean, overall, for me, I think that the Yankees are a fantastic stack today. I mean, there's nothing really bad to say about them outside of the fact that they're somewhat expensive. You're not getting Judge Soto together and Sale. You're not getting the three of them together. No. So you're gonna have to make decisions. We're gonna talk about the Dodgers against Detmers. So there's a lot of good spots. This is a fun slate. What a slate to come back to. I mean, this is a really fun slate. Gergen chat says, who scores more, Savali at 64 or Judge at 7K?
Man, I'm probably
I'd take Judge,
but
take Judge.
Yeah, and see that's where I was headed, Stevie. I said I'd probably almost always take pitcher, but he can for sure hit 2 home runs in this game, and if he does, there's no way Savali's not getting 28 fantasy points. He's just not.
All right. Oh, the other side. Texas.
Oh, this be easy. Yeah, I'm not playing Texas today. Maybe Adolis Garcia is a one-off, but I'm not doing it.
I know you're not shaming my boy Wyatt Langford, right?
No.
You instantly wrote off everybody and did not talk about my boy.
Well, listen, plug him in, but I don't intend to really load up on Texas today. I
don't want to load up, but I want to play some Wyatt Langford. The dude's smashing lefties this year. I mean, listen, do you remember how slow he started the season?
I do.
He started the season so slow, but yeah, I mean, he's come on strong here. 250 ISO, 380 WOBA against lefties this year. He walks a lot, which is something that stinks. But, I mean, hard hits and fly balls is what we've been getting out of him against lefties. So when you think about Carlos Rodon and, like, what Carlos Rodon potentially struggles with, fly balls and hard contact. So I think Wyatt Langford, an excellent, like, one-off home run play for Texas at 3,800 today. So, don't mess with my boy, man. I'll come after you. You see my hat? I'm a Gator. Come after you. Dodgers and Angels, 9.5 total in this one. Dodgers a 174 favorite in this one. Pretty sure they have the highest implied team total on the slate. Walker Buehler, Reed Detmers facing off against each other. Walker Buehler, I haven't played him. I don't know if I played him all year. I'm not going to start now, and I love pitchers against the Angels. It's one of my favorite matchups in baseball right now, but Walker Buehler is not right. Something is going on with him. He's not throwing strikes. He's not striking people out. He's walking hitters at the highest rate of his career. Like, he's not right. I mean, it's as simple as that for me. I know he's only pitched 3 times since coming back. A little bit better last time out against Baltimore, but he's just not right. Something's going on with him.
Yep. Not touching with the 10-foot pole today.
If there was ever a matchup, I'll just say that.
I still don't think it materializes.
No, I'm like, I'm just, yeah.
He gets 8 strikeouts today and goes a complete game shutout.
Yeah. Do you remember when we played Reed Detmers at the beginning of the year? That was fun. We're not doing that
last
today.
Last year we were playing him. Like, last year he had a really good season, like, for us, fantasy-wise. But, yeah, he's not getting played today. He's 6,500 against the Dodgers. They've dangled the carrot, Stevie, but I'm not being enticed here.
Yeah, I mean, there's just, you look at this lineup now against lefties, and, you know, adding Tommy Edman was such a big thing for the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah.
Because
now he's one of my favorite baseball players, actually.
Yeah, because now it's just not like, hey, we got to get through Ohtani, Betts, Teoscar. Now we got to get through Will Smith and Tommy Edman. They can, platoon like Kiki and Taylor, and they just don't strike out against lefties. And It is just one of the hardest matchups in baseball because, like, even Ohtani and Freeman can both hit lefties. So it's like, how do we beat the Dodgers? I'm not playing him. Dodgers, I think they're in a fantastic spot overall. This is a spot I think if you can fit them in, it's just the pricing makes it really tough to fit them in. Kiki Hernandez is 3K. Taylor is 2,900. They open up a little bit, but the pricing is really, really tight on these guys.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm still going to play him, Stevie, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
And I may, especially when you get a cheap pitcher in there, Stevie, and then you can run. This is why I'm so in love with these cheaper alternate stacks, Stevie, like the Cardinals, where you can get in some 3K guys like Donovan or, Newt Bar, stuff like that, right? Because I can get, a quality Dodgers lineup in or a quality Yankees lineup and still feel good about the rest of my bill. So you talked about Freeman. That's something I definitely want to mention about the fact these guys are fine against the left side of the plate or the right side of the plate. But to me, Stevie, doesn't this game scream? And look, Betts had a good game on the previous slate, right? But, man, he is starting to heat up. Like, and by heat up, Stevie, I mean on base percentage, driving in runs. Like, in 3 of the last 4 games, he's got at least 1 RBI, at least 1 hit. Like, in some of these games, he's got 2 and 3. Like, he's back from injury, and it looks like he's turned that corner, Stevie. Looks like he's back locked in at the plate. And this is a guy that can just professionally drive in runs and get on base. And so at 6,300, I really like Mookie Betts today. One of my favorite plays in the day.
Angels, any interest in the Angels here?
So as much as I don't like Walker Buehler, I wish I could play some Angels, but they'll probably score some runs, but I don't feel like they win me a tournament.
I did not realize how cheap Tommy Edman was on DK.
Oh, yeah, he's like 3,200, 3,233.
3,400.
Yeah, he's cheap, bro. He's cheap.
I like Mickey Moniak 4 home runs in his last 5 games. He had 2 home run night the other night. Mickey Moniak is someone, if you listen to the podcast last year, you're probably used to me like talking about. I think he's really solid young hitter. He had a tough go to start the season, but he's definitely been coming on really strong recently. So I like Mickey Moniak here quite a bit at 2,900. I think he's an excellent value one-off if you want to one-off him. Outside of that, I mean, it's just you can't get excited about playing anybody from the Angels, in my opinion. So, yeah, how can you get excited about this team? Seattle at Oakland. We have a 8 total. Seattle's a 150 favorite. Castillo against Ginn. Any interest here in Luis Castillo?
I think I have some, Stevie, and I feel like I either match the field or I'm a little below the field on him today just because I think I'm going to have so much sale, if that makes any sense. But Castillo at 9K against Oakland, I have no problems with it.
Yeah, I mean, his strikeout stuff has been solid lately. He just been getting hit a little bit harder. A lot of home runs recently. I mean, a lot of home runs. So that is very concerning against an Oakland team that has a lot of power. I think they have one of the most underrated power teams in baseball this year. They live by the long ball, that's for sure. So he's not my favorite. He's not the worst. I'll definitely, fire some shots on him in this spot. I like the strikeout upside, but I also think he gives up a home run or 2 or 3. Listen, Will, I pride myself in knowing prospects. I do. Everybody that listens to this podcast can probably back me up on that. I have no idea who this guy is. JT Ginn. I have no earthly idea who this guy is. I had to research because I really didn't know who he was. And maybe I'm just missing something, but I looked at like his advanced stats from his first start. Not great against Cincinnati. Just no chance that I'm playing this guy. Like even against Seattle, I was like, maybe he's a prospect. Not on any prospect list. I have no idea who this guy is. And that worries me because I like to know. I like to keep up with my prospects, but yeah, well, I know everybody is probably like, hey, let's see what CV has to say about this young guy. No clue. All I will say is all the advanced numbers say that he's gotten very lucky in his 3 outings this year, and that is not something I want to bet on at all as a young pitcher.
Well, I'm not playing him either, so there you have it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it personally. But yeah, I mean, I can't do it. Like I'll play just about anybody against Seattle, but I just couldn't find anything that made me excited about him in this spot. Yeah, I'm gonna pass. Let's talk Seattle bats. Any interest here in the Mariners?
Yeah, I do have some slight interest, Stevie. Randy's been getting better. Rayleigh, obviously Cal Raleigh, man, just showing so much power. Perfectly fine with Polanco at 3,400, even though he's not up at the top of the list anymore. I just think this team is cheap against a, marginal prospect at best. He's not someone I'm worried about. I think in that start, Steve, I think he had went about 67, 68 pitches, I think, which means maybe he gets into the mid 70s to 80 today. And I think that's enough for the Seattle Mariners to tag him a little bit.
Yeah, I've thrown off on the 7.5 total for this game. It throws me off a little bit. I guess Castillo, big name, makes sense, but yeah, the total on this game just it even right now it just has me thrown off a little bit. Oakland bats. Any interest in the Oakland bats here going up against Castillo?
I mean, if you want to play him, you can, man. Obviously, if you want to play Butler or Blade, like I'm not going to fight you. I don't plan to play Oakland at this moment. My cheap team's going to be St. Louis or Philly's got the cheap lefties. Atlanta has a couple cheap guys. I think that's where I'm going to land for the cheap guys, Stevie. So I don't think I can get to them today outside of maybe Butler or Blade.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of targeting home runs for Oakland. Just in general, like I think that home runs is what you could target in this spot against Castillo. He's been struggling with them quite a bit. Butler has home run upside. Blade, Bangaliers, Roker. Those would be the guys that I'm targeting for home runs. I don't think I'd stack Oakland in this spot, but I think you could target home runs. Finishing it out, Arizona at San Francisco. No total in this game, which I thought was interesting. Let me refresh and see if they put a total up for this game. 7.5. That is exactly where I would have put this game. Nelson against Harrison. Arizona a slight favorite. Agree with all the above. Ryan Nelson's the cheap pitcher that we were hinting at earlier that everyone's going to play. He's a different pitcher in the second half of the season. You know, he was kind of shaky first half of the season. He's been one of the better pitchers in baseball, not just for Arizona, second half wise. And we're just not getting price adjusting. And now he gets a fantastic ballpark jump or bump here going into San Francisco instead of pitching in Arizona. 7,200 is just too cheap today for Nelson.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, Stevie. And I don't think I'm going to add, too much extra. It's just out of all the cheap pitchers we were looking at and all the salary relief that we need, I feel like it's locked up in the Ryan Nelson today. And boy, I hope he doesn't disappoint us, Stevie, because it feels like the world is going to be behind him in the DFS industry and the props world, hoping that he gets this thing done. I'm assuming his prop line comes out between 5.5 and 6.5. If it's 5.5, it probably comes in. I don't know. It might come in around minus 140, 150. If it's 6.5, he'll probably be at plus 120 or something like that. But I do think he's the right cheap play the same way I feel like Sale is the right expensive play today.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's good chalk today. I hate chalk pitchers, but I think he's good chalk today. Yeah, I mean, again, like we didn't have to talk, and we knew exactly who we were both talking about when we were talking about the cheap pitcher. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a great spot for Nelson today. Hard not to like him. Harrison on the other side of this game. I mean, listen, I have targeted left-handed pitchers against this team down the stretch here with some of the injuries they've had. I wouldn't be shocked if I leave Harrison in my player pool today.
Oh man, I think Harrison's been fine. I think my approach on this today, though, Stevie, is I'm trying to keep my pitcher pool kind of skinny or tight, rather. So I feel like it's Sale. It's probably Castillo, Rodon, Peterson, and then I probably get down to Nelson, and that's it. So I don't think Harrison's going to make the cut for me. But like I get it because we have run pitchers against Arizona with these injuries. Like I totally get it.
Yeah, I don't know. He's like a really fringe guy. Like I don't really have a strong lean right now either way for this spot. So anyway, bats, any interest in the Arizona bats?
Nah, I'm not thrilled about this game really outside of Nelson. I mean, that's about it for me.
Yeah, I like the under in this game. It's not available for me in Florida right now. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like Harrison or Nelson like weren't announced or not, but yeah, I like the under in this game. Do you have any interest in the San Francisco bats?
Negative.
Like you can get this game under 8 right now in some spots. So shop this one around. I don't know why it's looks like the 8 might be off the table. It's 7.5 on FanDuel. Pick 'em straight, pick 'em game. It looks like so.
Hey, can I ask you a question before we get started? Because I was looking. Looks like we're back to about even now. Minus 110 on that Pirates Cubs game.
Yeah, Morning Grind moves lines, man. Gotta hang out with us live, right? Like we just move those lines. So, yeah. I mean, I wrote up a NFL prop. I wrote up my first 3 NFL props for week 1 earlier today. And like after like 5 minutes after I wrote it up, the line moved like 2 yards. So yeah.
Stevie. Oh man, I can't wait till we get to our prop section.
All right, well, let's do it. Let's play the morning grind game, and then we'll get out of here. We'll start talking football, and we won't stop. And I traveled today. Listen, I brought the energy, okay? I told you I was tired, but I still brought the energy today. Morning grind game. If you haven't already subscribed, what are you doing? Like, go hit the subscribe button on YouTube, turn on notifications, come hang out with us live. It makes the show better. We enjoy you guys hanging out with us live. It's fun. Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. Who do you
got? Ryan Nelson.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I'll say it, man. I think I'm gonna go Savali here. I really like what he's been doing, and I think he could potentially build off of that if the Cardinals are struggling today. Over 8K to score under 15. Who's your bust today?
It is kind of a tight one because I do think all of these upper tier guys should get there, like Sales, Skeens, Castillo, Rodon. Brother, that leaves me Tanner Bybee, and I think he's the right choice.
Yeah, tough matchup for him. I mean, my initial lean today is Rodon, but it's just because like he can have the bad control days and the command can struggle. So like that's what leaned me towards that. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a good chance they all get there on the slate. Over 4K to hit a home run. Who's going yard today?
I mentioned this guy, Stevie, and I feel like he's back at the plate. You're going to have to spin up to get him, but I do like the spot here, and that's Mookie Betts, man. I think Mookie's a great play today at 6,300.
I'm going to go with your boy, Marcell Ozuna, against Freeland to go yard today. I like Atlanta. I think this is a good spot for them today. I think they're going to score some runs, which they've had a tough time doing recently. Under 4K to get 2 hits. Who's a cheap bet that you like?
Love the spot for this guy. Going back to one of the first teams we talked about in Philly, give me Bryson Stott at 3,800 against Chris Bassett.
All right. I can get behind that. Yeah, I'm going to go Joey Ortiz. I know everyone's shocked in chat. They're like, we knew that was coming. Well, listen, my boy Ortiz against the lefty at 3,300. Hopefully cracks the lineup today. And let's go Brew Crew. Let's go Brewers. Let's go Brewers. Stacked score 6 or more runs. Who do you got scoring 6 runs today?
See, I think we've got a fair amount of options today for it to be a 10-game slate. I'm going to stay at home today. Give me the Atlanta Braves against Kyle Freeland.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I do like the Braves today to get it going against Freeland. Hopefully they get it rolling. I'm going to go Brewers. I really like the Brewers today. I know everyone's shocked, but I mean, Steven Matz just doesn't have it anymore. Milwaukee's at home, divisional game. I mean, what more do we need to say? This is a game that should be fantastic. And yeah, I mean, we look at the Brewers are in a really good spot, like really good spot to win the Central, NL Central. But I mean, they're still battling for the top team in the NL. Like they're only 2 games back of the Dodgers right now. So I think if you're the Brewers, every game matters right now. And like if you can sweep the Cardinals and keep them like potentially out of the playoffs, like that's what you always want to do against your divisional rival.
Of course.
Yeah, let's get to the player props and pick them. What do you got for us on that aspect today?
Listen, this one caught me way off guard, Stevie. I was way off on the odds here. Ryan Nelson, you can get him at over 5.5 at plus 128 right now. Now he's only on one book, and that's bet 365. And I think he may have been on underdog early at 5 strikeouts, but the under is minus 160. See, I was very shocked. I assumed this would be plus 128 for the 6.5, not the 5.5. I think he gets 6 strikeouts today. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful prop to take right away.
So listen, there's not many times that I'll take a picture with this type of number. But I really like Chris Sale over 8.5 strikeouts. You can get it on BetMGM right now at 8.5 strikeouts for minus 120. I'm going to do it. You look at what Sale's been able to do this year as far as strikeouts, just maintain 33% almost all year. It feels like he's hit this number in 4 of his last 7 starts. He's had some really tough strikeout matchups here in his last couple of starts. He gets back on track today. This is the spot where Chris Sale goes out. He strikes out 12, and we're like, why didn't we ladder this up to 10? So really like Chris Sale at over 8.5 strikeouts. There's not many pitchers in baseball in general anymore that I will take over 8.5 strikeouts in any matchup, but Chris Sale is one of them this year. So give me Chris Sale to get 2 or 8.5 strikeouts, over 8.5. Any other bets you like today?
I feel like the closest thing I've got right now, man, is Yankees minus 130. That's about as close as I've got for single leg stuff. I'm sure you're going to have the parlay put together for us, but
I do.
That feels like about as close as I'm going to get to anything in terms of money lines.
Yeah, we hit the Friday parlay. We finished the week strong. It was a rough week. I think I went 1-3 last week on the parlays, and finally hit on Friday, so that was great. And now we're gonna start. I feel like we're gonna start the week off since I missed Monday. We're gonna start the week off here with a good one. It's a plus 459 3-pick parlay today. I'm gonna go over 4.5 total runs for the Milwaukee Brewers. I already talked about how much I absolutely love the Brewers today. And then I'm going to go to your Braves, over 4.5 total runs. And I'm going to finish out the 3-pick parlay. Even though I don't like this pitching for this team, I like the Dodgers today in my 3-pick parlay going up against Dietmers. So I got Milwaukee and Atlanta over 4.5 runs and the Dodgers money line for our plus 459 3-pick parlay for Tuesday. I keep getting thrown off because I'm so used to coming back on Mondays. But Tuesday. Will, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Negative, brother. It's been good to come on. Excited for NFL and excited to get back rolling with you at the end of the week.
Yeah, I think we're going to announce the NFL show tomorrow, so look out for that. It's a banger. I'm just gonna tell you it's a banger. Just posted the link for the Morning Grind contest over there in the YouTube chat. I'll try to remember to put it in the comment section as well. Win. This is the best week to win, so you can get 3 days of premium content and take advantage of it for our NFL content. So that's going to wrap it up here for Tuesday. We're back Wednesday talking baseball. Good luck, everyone. We'll